Risk profile. Welcome. We're here. Harris, are you excited to talk about crypto?
Oh yeah, I'm pretty excited.
I'm excited to talk about crypto because Spencer, who is going to share what's going on with CryptoEQ, he has created a company to demystify what is an incredibly confusing subject for most of the people.
So confusing. I don't understand it at all.
Well, I think that might be because the media has no idea what they're talking about when they talk about crypto. Fair?
Yeah, they have no idea. I'm sure that they didn't read the paper back in 2009, and still they don't know.
Does anybody know somebody that lost a whole bunch of money when the last time crypto was talked about?
A lot of my friends who should probably not even be investing money in anything.
So when you take a lot of people that have an asset class that's super confusing
and new,
there's a whole jumble of wires that you have to untangle. CryptoEQ is about taking that mess and detangling it all and making some sense out of that nonsense.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah, I appreciate y'all having me on. Our tagline is "Crypto is complex, we make it simple." So we founded the company to help demystify crypto. I mean, we know there's thousands and thousands of cryptocurrencies. So how do you cut through all of that noise and identify the signal? And so that's why we founded CryptoEQ.
So what is CryptoEQ? Do you demystify that by making a collection of articles that you then read, or do you write content like a research analyst? Like how does that actually work?
Yeah, so we provide research and market insights for cryptocurrency. So there's three pillars of the product. You have our fundamental research, right? So that's more long form content and helps you figure out the long-term quality of a given crypto asset. We have our signals. So that's our trading signals, which is more like technical analysis and identifying good entry and exit points for cryptos. And then our third pillar is sentiment analysis. And that's something that we're really excited to launch with V5, which is how do you aggregate and quantify how people feel about crypto, right? So if you take Bitcoin, for example, we could scrape at scale thousands of pieces of content through social and news, digest it, and quantify objectively how the market feels about Bitcoin today.
That's pretty cool. And the whole goal is really to synthesize what is effectively a large amount of information. You're scraping the content itself, deciding whether it's positive or negative, and that kind of workflow
at scale. Yeah,
that's amazing.
The three pillars work in concert together to help every single user, whether they're more of an investor persona or a trader persona, take advantage of the significant opportunity.
So did you come up with this idea while trading crypto and trying to learn about it, or how did this come about?
Yeah, so I've been trading and investing in crypto for 4 years. I passed on crypto time and time again, like a lot of people that are listening, right? So 13, 14, 15, 16, I passed on Bitcoin. I finally opened my eyes to it early 2017.
So when was the last big crash?
I think 18 was when it was at 20K, right?
Yeah.
So, and then it fell.
Typically, you have your crypto market cycle about every 4 years.
Okay.
So the last top, it had a run up late 16, in early 17, and then it topped late 17, early 18.
So you had already invested early 17 at that point.
I started accumulating Bitcoin in early 2017.
What happened with the peak? Did you
lose a bunch of money?
Lose a bunch of money and then say I'm going back in, or what?
I took profits on a lot of altcoin positions, held all of my Bitcoin position.
Yeah.
And of course, I got to be candid. They're all altcoins where you are going to incur some losses.
Yeah.
And that was extra fire in our bellies to build this thing, because we saw a lot of people get hurt. Yeah. And we had positions that didn't perform well in our portfolios. And so the idea is, how do we go out and help the world miss those L's, right? Like there's so many, there's thousands of altcoins, and this space has a lot of misinformation. So we founded this thing to be that trusted resource.
So you get punched in the gut, and instead of like hiding in shame and cowering, like I think most people would
Oh yeah, for sure.
have done.
Yeah, they would retreat and never try again.
Not that I know any friends that invested in Bitcoin at that time.
I mean,
so rather than do that, you really kind of say, no, we can combat this with knowledge and information, and you create a company to make that happen.
Yeah, because we took a long-term view. I mean, the partners that are involved with CryptoEQ today combined have 3 decades of experience trading and investing in crypto.
Mm-hmm.
So we all had a long-term view early on, and we see this asset class maturing into something that is traditional. And this was in 17. So fast forward, right, we're in 21, and we've got more institutional interest than many of us could have imagined. So as this thing continues to mature, a Morningstar of crypto needs to emerge. And so we are on a trail to be the Morningstar of crypto and be that trusted resource that everyone can look to as a North Star for our industry.
So, in terms of what made you want to start this? Because were you always trading? Is this something that happened? I mean, you said this happened 4 years ago for you. So what
Yeah.
were you doing?
Yeah. What
before
made
that?
you adopt that?
How did
that
you
crypto?
get there?
I think everyone's on their own crypto journey, as I
Yeah.
like to put it. For me, three things came together. I had already, built up a significant portfolio trading equities. So, investing my disposable income and really taking ownership of my own personal finances. And I wanted to do something high risk because I was very young at the time, mid-20s. And I was like, I need to take 5 or 10% of this and do something high growth, high risk with this.
Right. Yeah.
And crypto was at the front of my mind then. And so that's when I really opened my eyes to Bitcoin. Now, it wasn't just organically me in a silo. I also had a friend that I trusted very much tell me, like, if you don't take action on this, you're going to punch yourself in the face.
Yeah.
So that having someone that I trust really get my attention and rattle me like that helped. That was the second factor. And then the third factor was once I opened my eyes, I saw what I saw play out with torrent and peer-to-peer file sharing.
Sure.
Decentralization is such a powerful, disruptive innovation. So what I saw happen with torrent, I finally had the light bulb moment that Bitcoin is the equivalent of that, but in the financial space. So decentralizing your financial tools and the network that you participate in when you send value. So and that light bulb happened with Bitcoin. That's when I really entered the rabbit hole. And then what happens with people that enter this industry is you start to see them get further and further down the rabbit hole and learn more and more. And that's when that early 2017 is when I dove in.
So you dive in on Bitcoin, and then you figure out that it's actually really interesting intellectually because of the parallel that you're making with a similar technology in terms of decentralization. As you get into 2017, you go through the sucker punch of losing money with your Bitcoin portfolio. When does it become a company? Like, at what point do you take that sucker punch? What can I do about it? Who wants to do this with me? And then, oh, by the way, this is actually really interesting. I want to do this for a livelihood.
Yeah. A quick point on Bitcoin. One Bitcoin is always one Bitcoin. And so if you entered at the early stages of a cycle, even though you're no longer at the top, I mean, you're still up.
Yeah.
So net, I mean, I still realized a lot of growth financially and it was an effective trade and investment. But I guess the point where I knew that we were solving a real problem, I think a lot of it had to do with intuition because we built a community around crypto first before we had the idea
using
for CryptoEQ.
social media.
Yeah, using social media. So that it all started snowballing as a community. So the kind of the catalyst was I'm doing research in a silo, reading about Bitcoin. A lot of people that are technologists and enjoy technology at heart, they're going to do their research.
Yeah.
And a few weeks into that, I was like, I've got to get out of this silo. How many people are there out in the world that are smart and ambitious and want to learn more about this too?
Yeah.
And that's when I started building the community. And that's how I met my partners. So I met Brooks and Mike at crypto events and communities around Texas. And so I started pulling together people like Brooks and Mike and many, many others that I thought were very intelligent and very articulate and brought them into a private crypto community. We grew that thing to 50 people. And the catalyst for CryptoEQ was I want to take all of these conversations and systems that people are building for investing in this space and scale it up. Because what's happening in this room, the world should know about.
Yeah.
And that was my intuition at the time. And so that's when I think I identified a business opportunity in what we were doing.
Were you always an entrepreneur? Did you have family history of entrepreneurship? Did you have friends? Did you know other successful entrepreneurs? What really, what was the leap for you once you thought this was a legitimate business?
Yeah, I think my father is my biggest role model in that sense. He's a business owner himself. He's an entrepreneur. He's owned and operated his own architecture firm for 4 decades. So growing up, seeing him as a role model was really powerful. We came up with a blueprint, that I would be an engineer. And so I studied engineering in school. I went on to earn my professional license. And once I had climbed that mountain, I wanted a new challenge. And at that point, I was already fully immersed in the Bitcoin rabbit hole. So I was a licensed engineer, but also, a diehard crypto enthusiast. And so those things were pulling at each other for a while. And then I fully just dove into entrepreneurship in late 2019.
So what was the point where you were like, okay, I'm an engineer, but I should probably leave this engineering job? Like what
Yeah.
where were you at mentally there? Because
I'm
that's, I think, like the toughest decision when you're
Yeah.
stuck between those two options. They both make a lot of sense, but at the end of the day, you do have to decide, what do you really want to be and what do you really want to pursue?
It's a really tough decision. You're
Yeah.
spot on. And I sensed for months that like I was being pulled apart, right? Because I loved engineering, I loved what I was doing, I loved the people I worked with, but I also loved crypto and I loved the team that we were building. So I'm the kind of person that will like say yes to multiple things and try and build those things together. But at that point where I felt like I was being completely split apart, I knew I had to do something. And I actually mapped out this kind of a thought experiment, like what do I care about? Like what do I give to the world, and what brings me energy? And I just wrote them all down and just drew arrows.
Yeah.
And all of the arrows were around entrepreneurship and crypto.
Yeah.
And that was my answer.
And engineering had nothing.
Well,
So-
it was there, but
Yeah.
they weren't as, it was there and it brings me energy and I enjoy it. And I still am in the weeds on technical stuff with
Yeah.
CryptoEQ, but it wasn't at the core.
Gotcha.
And
So you tell your peers that are engineers, and as a fellow engineer, I know how conservative and really kind of historical looking we are. And this is after the Bitcoin has crashed, and so you've got a perception that this is a fool's errand. I imagine you've got people that are speaking relatively negatively about what you are really enjoying. How did you handle that kind of conflict
with
your peers, your former peers
Yeah.
at your old work?
Yeah. Did they think you were crazy?
oh yeah, I think they all thought I was crazy. Yeah, I think a lot of my peers in the workplace were thinking that this thing was a bubble, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think as entrepreneurs, a lot of us live in the future, right? Like if it's probably healthy as an entrepreneur to make sure that you limit your circle, right? So
Yeah.
that you don't have too much negative energy. But yeah, I certainly was living in the future. I was thinking about what this asset class would be in 2030 and running towards it.
So you're in what is very hot in terms of space, in terms of information, in terms of the volume of things you have to understand, the complexity of what you have to understand, and the channels to then sanitize that are it's all over the place. And as you get together a community of knowledgeable people, they start writing content, start generating ideas and information, and really synthesizing all of that hard stuff. I imagine you're not the only one that's thought of this. How are you thinking about CryptoEQ relative to the competition? Do you think about that? Is it, do you specialize in a particular type of information or maybe particular coins? What does that look like for you?
Yeah. With competition, I think that since this asset class is so new and there's so much potential, we don't spend a lot of time thinking about who's doing what and are they going out. We focus more on our community, our members, our users, our clients, and what they're saying. So we're super focused on building network effects around what we do and around our products and around our communities. And so I think that we've had some success there on building social communities, building physical communities, building brand, and then iterating with those people and listening and listening and listening some more. That's more where our energy goes. So we're not too worried about what XYZ crypto company is doing, because I think there's so much opportunity here. I mean, we still have millions and millions of people coming on board. I think this thing is just getting going. Yeah.
And are you using Substack? Are you using, kind of a home built application? Are you leveraging, LinkedIn or Reddit, or what's your main forum?
For social, we are on all platforms at CryptoEQ. So we're going to anywhere where we think there's a crypto audience or a crypto audience could develop. We're even researching what it would look like to have CryptoEQ content on TikTok. We're exploring Clubhouse. I mean, we're all over social. We're very passionate about social media. So those are kind of our that's kind of our perspective on social.
Sure.
I'd say our bread and butter communities in social are Reddit, LinkedIn. Also, we've been getting a lot of success with Facebook lately. So I think that the exuberance and kind of the more mainstream appeal that we have now makes Facebook work.
Yeah.
Whereas in, kind of 18, 19, not so much.
And walk me through the average user. What are they thinking about? What are you bringing to them that that's maybe difficult for them to find other and what are they afraid of? What are they using you as a tool to kind of help?
I think a lot of people have fear around alternative cryptocurrencies and altcoins.
So an
So
example would be,
we get questions every day about, hey, what do you think about XYZ coin?
Yeah.
Because people lost their shirt before and they don't want to lose it again. So I'd say there's a lot of fear around altcoins, a lot of conversations around altcoins. I mean, there's thousands of them, so there's always a new one coming out of the woodworks. And that's where we get a lot of questions. Also, you said kind of what's the mainstream appeal, or what do people really value about the platform? I think the rational, disciplined approach to crypto investing is refreshing for a lot of people. Because I mean, in 17 especially with the ICO bubble, it was reckless. I mean, it was tragic. There's very irresponsible investing happening in 17 and 18.
ICO meaning the initial coin offering.
Yeah,
So avoiding the public markets and instead launching and funding your company using crypto coins.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Initial coin offering. Yeah.
Excellent.
So there's all these new people joining the community and trying to learn about the community and learn about Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. And there's a ton of misinformation out there. On top of that, I think there's this perception by a lot of people, at least from what I've gathered on social media, that they want to get rich quick and they're using this as a method. What do you tell those people? Because you just mentioned that this is a disciplined approach. So how do you communicate to someone who's like, I just want to get rich quick? How do I?
Yeah. So if you're just diving right in, even for folks that want to move fast, we have tools. So the difference between, buying the top of Dogecoin, right? Dogecoin just had a massive run up, had tons of messages about that, versus using our trading signals to identify entry points, right? That's an example of introducing some discipline that can hold you accountable to your entry point. So we have systems for people that also want to dive in quick, but also the discipline approach and taking a long-term view on this asset class, right? So there's only about a dozen assets that we consider higher quality assets via our core rating framework. So about a dozen assets we say we see long-term potential and quality in these assets today. Now we're still obviously doing tons and tons of research and evaluating all of the cryptocurrencies that we think are worthwhile and matter and will have a long-term staying power in this space. But I mean, if you think about thousands and then we're looking at 12 and saying these are high quality, that's a disciplined approach that can really help eliminate some noise.
So those like, to put it in terms of equity, those would be like the blue chip stocks that are incredibly safe. Those are the 12 that are.
I don't know. You can say incredibly safe with crypto.
Well, right. Fair enough. But so those are the ones that you're looking at long term. And you did say that you're looking at this long term. What is this going to look like in 2030? And beyond that, what do you think this will look like in 2030? Because just from my perspective, from say like 2012 when I really learned about it to now, I've seen it go from this thing that is only talked about by like the 2 econ majors I know to now being used for actual payment transfers and actually buying things and so on.
It's index now.
Now it's so. What does the future look like? Is there going to be a day where I go to Starbucks and I just buy a latte with my phone using Bitcoin or Dogecoin or whatever? Is that the future, or what does it look like?
There's a lot to unpack there. So with the blue chip stuff, right? I think there's only 2 blue chips. To Mark's point about, risk is relative.
Right.
I think there's only 2 blue chips, and I think they're Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Yeah.
So those really are the only ones that we would consider of the highest quality in our core rating framework. They have our gold rating. And to your point about what does this look like in 2030? I already hold most of my assets on a blockchain. So I'm very much living this personally, and as a company, we are here building in this crypto ecosystem. So I think that the world by 2030 will be much more comfortable with holding value on a blockchain. I think that people will be able to custody crypto with traditional banks, and those assets would be insured. So there's some things that I think are playing out, and we're seeing the infrastructure and the shift in that direction.
Do you think my grandmother's ever going to use crypto?
She may end up using it and not knowing it. And so what I think mass adoption for crypto looks like is you have the same UX of your apps that you already love, and then the infrastructure is just replaced with something that's much more efficient and much more cost effective for the underlying business. So I think that a lot of the end user experience could be the same. You can still use your normal payment services apps, but the back end's changed, and that it's serving those businesses better.
Well, I think this has been fantastic, getting a light and an insight into what really is going on in crypto. You are out there to demystify the experience of crypto for the masses, and you're selling primarily to individual people. And how can they find you? How can they reach out? What would you suggest somebody go do when they want to go down this journey?
Go to TikTok. No,
we're not on TikTok yet. They'll engage us and engage our communities on the social platform you're choosing. If you want to sign up at CryptoEQ.io today, we set up a promo code for the risk profile community. So it's all capital letters, RISK. So risk, all capital letters. That'll get you $10 off your first month. So come check us out at a discount. See the services, try us out. Look at the research, use the signals, see how you like it, and get started today and start your crypto journey.
Awesome. That's pretty exciting.
Yeah. And what if someone wanted to reach out to you personally?
Yeah, the best way to reach me at scale would be like a LinkedIn message. Email is tough. I think email is going by the wayside. I think
always living in the future.
Yeah, I think
in the future. Yes,
I think the UX of messaging apps is so much better and faster.
Yes.
And there's more of a casual tone to it, right? And email feels more formal and it's slower. Mm-hmm. So yeah, LinkedIn messages are great.
Well, we're going into President's Day weekend. What does somebody say to their parents when they ask if they're investing in crypto and then they make that chafa that all parents are so good at?
Well, my parents are in.
So yeah. Nice.
So when they saw the news about bank charters, in like Kraken, for example, which is a prominent cryptocurrency exchange, having a bank charter to operate as a bank, that for them was the light bulb moment, and they wanted to talk more about digital assets. So I didn't even sell them; it was more of an organic thing. But they joke about, hey, are you still tethered to the spaceship? Right. So they have much more of a traditional view of technology. And so they see me doing all of this stuff, and obviously they trust me and believe in me, but they're wondering, what planet are you on today?
Well, that's pretty fantastic.
Well, thank you guys for listening. Thank you for being here. Please check out CryptoEQ on all platforms. Join the community. Check out the promo code. Use RISK as the promo code. You get $10 off. And please subscribe. Follow us on LinkedIn. Follow us on Apple, iTunes. Subscribe on any platform you use. We're on all of them.
And let us know how we're doing.
Let us know how we're doing. Please leave a review. We read all of them, and I like the ones that are funny. So please make them funny. And thank you for listening. This has been Risk Profile. Be someone.
All right, guys.